We're going live.
All right.
And I believe we're live. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if people start commenting and stuff because this is the first time we've done this. We're new. And we don't know what to do.
It
So if you can hear the sound.
Waiting.
It still says waiting?
She goes.
Oh, now it wants to work. If you can hear the sound of my voice, put something in the comments. Comment something. Say, I hear ya. Hear you, Lima. Read you, Lima Charlie. Whatever. Say something. Say something. Because we're trying to figure out if we're doing the right thing here. Because I made this public, if I'm not mistaken, so somebody should be able to see this. I need somebody to chime in.
It's more. I don't know about volume, but I can see it on the iPad.
You can see it?
Yeah, and there's volume too. You're good.
Okay, cool. Okay, people can hear us. Yay.
Yes.
All right, dope. All right, anyway, so let me get us back over to the Jitsi screen real quick. And all right, so this is the first episode of the Shootin the Breeze podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Hayes, and the co-host is going to be my buddy here, Ashton Johnson. Ash?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
So I was told not to tell you guys this, but I figure I'll go ahead and start it this way because I'm feeling spunky. So my buddy Ashton is a little bit camera shy. He doesn't really like talking in front of people, but since he's my best friend, he agreed to do this anyway. So let's all give him a round of applause.
I'm here.
No?
Nope.
So anyway, since this is the pilot, this one is going to be hopefully shorter than our regular episodes. I'm expecting our regular episodes will probably be about an hour 15, hour and a half, something like that. The first person that we plan on having on with us is going to be Christopher Roberts, who's hosting a match on April 11th at Panteo. So anyway, all right, Ash, we got talking points.
Yes, sir. Start with, I guess, some intros and backstory of how we met.
Okay. All right. So do you want me to start or you want to start?
Yes, I want you to start because you had to
go first. You go first. Okay. Okay. So what started mine and Ash's relationship? So me and Ash actually met shooting USPSA and IDPA matches, the little local indoor matches and stuff like that. And me and him were, pretty consistently in the top 5. So we knew each other. Ash was often the squad leader for Bravo Squad, and I was almost always put on his squad. And whenever they put me over on his squad, he was like reading the stage description or reading the safety brief or something like that. And, me being Cameron Hayes, I had to crack a bunch of smart ass jokes and stuff like that. And he would just like hear my joke and then he would like cut his eyes over at me and then he would like continue reading. And I was like, all right, dick. And so basically I thought we hated each other like from the get go, which kind of is how most of my best friends come to be my best friends. And then one night, we shot a few stages. I'd crack some jokes and like he would just he's just really shy. He's a shy dude. And I didn't know that about him. And so then we started going and getting tacos after we would shoot the little indoor matches or whatever. We would go to, Taco Tuesday because the matches were always on Tuesdays. We got to know each other a little bit better. And then I went overseas. And while I was overseas, Ashton decided that he was going to be one of the very, very few people to keep in continuous communication with me. And whenever you're over there, it means a whole lot to you. And you remember the people that talk to you every single day or the people who talk to you regularly, just the people who haven't forgot you. Because, whenever you're gone for months, I was gone for a year. Whenever you're gone for months at a time, people forget about you. It's just a fact. It happens. And Ash hit me up the whole time I was gone. And then what, Ashton? I'll let you chime in now.
Yeah, once you got back, I tried to get you to come out on the boat, do some fishing, hang out. You weren't about it. I think you were still remembering me from the pistol matches. And you're like, that guy's weird. But finally got you to calm down. We had a good time.
Yeah. There was a lot going on. Like whenever I got home, like I was like a miserable shut in. Like I didn't want to leave the house. Like there was I like didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go anywhere, hang out with people, none of that stuff. And you just kept bugging the shit out of me to try to get you to hang out. And later on, he told me that he realized that I was going through some stuff, you know, like mentally or whatever, and he wanted to be a friend to me. And that's why he kept on inviting me until finally I was like, fuck it, I'll come hang out with you on your boat.
That's what I said. You called me out at the beginning of the podcast. So good friend.
Good friend. All right, all right, hold on. Let me see. I'm looking at the questions that we have so far.
I got that covered.
Okay.
Unless you got. Well, I'm looking at the comments on YouTube, the chat.
Okay, cool. All right, so that was kind of how it started, and I mean, there was a time frame whenever me and you were hanging out like every single weekend. You know, we were either going to shoot matches, we were going to shoot guns, we were going to hang out on your boat. We were hanging out every single weekend doing stuff, and that kind of like meshed, that glued our friendship, right?
Oh yeah, especially once we started getting into the range and kind of sharing some lessons learned and stuff to do on the rifles and training up. But
yeah, that was definitely a big. So tell the peoples a little bit about who you are whenever it comes to the long range game, because that's sort of the intent of this podcast. Is I want people to look at this podcast more as like a long range thing. It's not just like a regular defensive shooting or whatever. This is like more oriented towards the long range game, or medium to long range.
Gotcha. I've been shooting since I think 2010. Got into it. Sucked at first and got better with reloading and upgrading equipment, and kind of overstressed myself in the first couple of matches, first probably 5 or 6 matches, and had a good friend tell me after I sucked on the first stage at a match to you've already paid for it, have fun. That's what you're here for. It's a hobby. It's fun. And I did really well the rest of that match. I said, well, so I've went into every match since then with that attitude. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a hobby, and it's paid off. I've managed to win a couple matches.
A couple.
Yeah. I ain't gonna brag.
Yeah. So Ash is being very modest right now. His office at work has just like trophy after trophy after trophy of, like, you know, all he's got all these long range trophies and stuff like that. So he's being very modest, and you will learn that about Ashton the more that you watch these podcasts. Is that he's a really modest dude. He will not talk himself up ever.
I get lucky. Yeah.
We should all be so lucky. All right, dope. So I'm trying to figure. We're still trying to figure this out, guys. So this one's going to be a little bit choppy. Don't expect all of them to be shitty. This one might just be the worst ever. I'm trying to figure out a way that I can, in real time, look at you, Ashton, have this thing going live, and have it pulled up on YouTube so that I can see what people are saying in the comments. I would like.
Thinking of this wrong. This is the only one you've done, so this is the best so far.
Technically, you're not wrong. Ash, pop a comment in the YouTube thing real quick, so I can. I'm doing it.
I've already done it.
We'll pop another one, motherfucker.
Done.
What's in the cup? Yeah, Ash, what's in the cup?
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, sure.
A little bit.
Yeah, just like mine. Mine's probably just Dr. Pepper too. Anyway, all right. So Ashton is a super awesome long range shooting guy. He knows a whole lot about long range shooting things. He's not super technical about, you know, the skills. Well, he definitely has the skills about the math involved and stuff like that. He's one of those, I'm just going to send it kind of dudes, and it actually works out for them. Let's
It works out for me. It might not work out for everyone, but I found overthinking a stage or a target, or it didn't work for me. And I think that was part of my problem early on was stressing and not having fun and overthinking every stage and every target. And once you realize your group size is much smaller than what these targets are, you can kind of relax a little bit. And once you're having fun, for me, I did better. Ethan wants to know about the next match we're shooting. The next match I'm shooting is this weekend at Richard Todd's, the Shaytac series. It's the second match out of 8. So this will be a individual match.
I was supposed to shoot this match, but I have to go play Army this weekend. Hence, I went and got my hair cut. Y'all probably can't tell because my picture's super grainy. Yeah, I have to go play Army this weekend, and then I have to go play Army again next weekend. So I'm playing Army 2 weekends in a row. And then the next match I'll be shooting is the designated marksman match on April 11th, hosted by Chris Roberts at Panteo in South Carolina. So that's who you are in the long range shooting thing. Yes. And we've just found like that there's a lot of stuff that we do and there's a lot of stuff that we don't do that people concentrate super hard on. That's not important. Just things that we found, just experience wise. That was our first talking point, I believe, was like how we got to be friends. So what's our next talking point, Ash?
I mean, we can roll into tips and tricks and train ups and prep for matches, because I think that's kind of where we were heading with what I was talking about on what I've learned on matches.
Okay.
I don't, like you said, I don't overthink a lot of stuff, and I've learned to leave a lot of the bags and crap I've bought over the years and keep it simple.
Okay, so we can, what I do for a lot of the precision rifle matches that I shoot is first I try to figure out what kind of match it is. So like, I'm a match director for designated marksman matches and sniper matches and stuff like that. So I wanted to host my own designated marksman match because I found a lot of times people were mislabeling their matches. And a really good example of that was the Microtech match. I went and shot the Microtech designated marksman match, and everything about that match screamed sniper match. It was a team match. It had reduced size targets. The targets were 800 plus yards away. UKD, they were camouflage. You had to find them. All of that screamed sniper match, but it was labeled a designated marksman match. So I came with a designated marksman setup to shoot that match. So basically, I was going into this with the right tool for the job I thought I had to do, but not the right tool for the job that I actually had to do, because it was more of a sniper match or a precision rifle match, whatever you want to call it. But I would call that a sniper match. So if it's a designated marksman type match, like depending on the way the divisions are set up, like the way that I set my divisions up, I didn't think that it was very important for your chambering. Like your chambering's not super important for a designated marksman type match, in my opinion, because a designated marksman match typically has like short par times, big targets, and they're either, UKD and you have to get them on the fly, but they're not super far to where your danger space is going to be big enough to where you'll still hit that target even if you misjudge range a little bit. Or they're known distance and that's still, big targets and stuff like that. So like we were talking about, if you got a gun that shoots quarter MOA and your target's, 800 yards away or something like that, or actually for easy math, we'll just say that it's, 1,000 yards away, which it shouldn't be. It doesn't work much. And that means that your gun should, print a 2.5 inch group ish at that distance and such. Ash is good at math too.
No.
So if your target is, ginormous, if you've got a target that's, 36 by 36, you don't have to be as careful is what I'm trying to say. And a lot of times, people will take way too much time to shoot a huge target that's close.
Yes.
Or they'll waste a whole lot of time overthinking it and stuff like that. And that's, that would get you killed. If your role was a designated marksman, it would either get you or your buddies killed. And that is a grim way to look at it. I understand that. But, that's the role of a designated marksman. You're a rifleman in a squad. Ash, let's talk about some gear.
All right. As far as what you bring to a match, what I bring, really just a good front bag. I run the Reeser, a couple of different Reesers, but I'll have one of the Game Changer bags with me and one lightweight rear bag that may or may not get used again. Like Cameron's saying, the size of the target and how challenging the stage is determines how accurate you need to be. A lot of the times the rear bag's not, I don't use it. I'll just put the fist on the butt of the rifle and go with it. But that's the two biggest pieces of gear for me.
I think for me, I use the Sprad bag now. Jordan Spradley actually made me a bag to evaluate for him, and I've actually I drew out the Gen 2 of that bag, so he's probably gonna start pushing those out. Things that I wanted to see in his bag that he didn't have in the Gen 1, and he's gonna attach my name to it and be like, this is the Hayes version of my bag and whatever and all this other stuff. But I'd said these are some things that I found were deficient with your bag. His bag's awesome. I used his bag exclusively at the Bushnell Elite Tactical Sniper Challenge, and I used it in ways that I've never used a squeeze bag before.
That's the one I seen Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, so it's I use that bag pretty much like if I go into a stage where I don't have to carry all my gear and it's just like carry like minimalist stuff, then I'll have like my rifle. Which I pretty exclusively run gas guns. One spare mag, maybe two spare mags, depending on what I feel about the stage or if there's a limited round count and stuff like that. And the Sprad bag, because I can drop that bag on just about anything and just rest my rifle on it. And like I talked about in my more recent YouTube video, I don't use the hog saddle on my tripod anymore because I found it's more efficient if I just drop a bag on it and then rest my rifle on that, then put my hand on top of it and just shoot it standing. Like it's way faster and I can still impact, 8-inch targets at 600 yards. So, and usually you're not shooting targets that are, that small. It's usually like 2 MOA targets and stuff like that.
Some of them. Richard's going to have an interesting target this weekend with a 3-inch at about 300 or no 375, I think it is. And that one, if you're brave enough, is 5 points a piece for 5 shots. So someone's going to try. And with 100 shooters, I think 5 or 10 are going to get 5 out of 5 on that. So that'll be one I'm rigging bags up as quick as I can and trying to get stable, get a wind call.
Yeah, stability is a big important part for the long range shooting because if you can't, well, we had said we were going to touch on training, the way that we train up for matches and stuff. So this will just kind of transition into it. Yeah. Like me and Ash, we're both pretty much the same in that we don't bring piles and piles of shit to precision rifle matches. You don't need it, and it's just taking up space, and you have to carry it around all the time, and you don't need it. You really just don't need it. I don't even have a Kestrel, and that will oftentimes, baffle people. That oh, you don't use a Kestrel, then how do you know what the wind's doing? Well, I can see vegetation. I can fucking feel it blowing on my face. I know what the wind's doing. It's not rocket surgery, and not only that, the Kestrel's reading the wind at your position. I can read the wind at my position because I'm here. You see this gorgeous hair? It blows in the wind. And then but being able to read the wind out to target is what's more important. Like all the way throughout is where the wind is important.
And how it affects your caliber. I carried a wind meter and a Kestrel for years with the 260, but I've gotten to the point I don't bring it to matches unless I think it's going to be over 1,000 yards. I know my round, and it's reading wind, but it's more of a gut check feel of what I should do, and most of the time it's right. I used to write it down when I wrote my dope on my hand, what the 5 mile an hour wind would be. I don't do that for the most part anymore now. It's usually hold left edge or just off left, send it, especially for these
one target off left.
Yeah.
Well, like, and I go into a lot of stages where if they say that the target is a 66% IPSC or something like that, and out to 600 yards or 700 yards or 800 yards, I don't even need a dope chart if the target's that big. That's a huge target. So like a lot of times, you'll see people wearing the dope chart on their forearm. And I just don't use one of those because I don't need it. Like I know that if I'm 50 yards off, plus or minus, I'm still going to hit the target because my danger space is big enough at those distances. So, and then, I shoot
that size. Yes.
Yeah. Now, if you're shooting teeny tiny little targets, it's a lot more important. And also your wind call is a lot more important too. But
another thing I do, I write my dope, and my dope's in mils, my scope's mill. When I write my dope out, I just put it with a Sharpie on my hand now. I used to have the wrist coach, used to do all that. But now when I write it out, if my first hold is 1.1 mils and my next hold's 1.7, I just write 1.117. I memorize it without the decimal point because it's one less thing for me to say in my head while I'm getting ready for a stage. So it'll be 11, 17, 22, which is 1.1, 1.7, 2.2. So it's just
first of all, that was your 325. Am I correct? 325 and your 380, 390.
I don't know. Gotta pull up.
It was. Anyway, do it in your head, brah.
Anyway, I do a 200-yard zero, so 300.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. You do the wrong zero. Hey, Jordan Spradley's in the chat. So Jordan is the guy who made the spread bag that I was just talking about a few minutes ago. He probably didn't hear that because he decided to join us late because he's a fucking slacker, Jordan. I mean, thanks for the bag, Jordan. Anyway, so training. I find, because people were talking about, I always say get off your belly. I tell people all the time, stop shooting on your belly, because there's so many people that the only training that they do with their precision rifle is they either shoot off their belly or they shoot off a bench. And then they're like, I'm going to go shoot a match. And then they go shoot a match and they shoot like ass. And I'm like, yeah, you did shoot like ass. The reason you shot like ass is because the only time you ever shoot, you always shoot off of your belly or off of a bench. And I make it sound like there's no place for that, but that's not true. There is a place for it. Like me and you this weekend, I was shooting off of a bench to confirm data. We found out that my gun was 1/10 of a mil off from zero. So I made a 1/10 of a mil adjustment, and then I reconfirmed my data out to 560 yards, and I was hitting the bolt that held the target up out to 400. Yeah, so out to 400 yards, I just kept aiming at the bolt that was holding the target up, and Ash was like, "You're just like stacking shots on the bolts." So, and that's that was off of my belly with a bag, super comfortable, taking all the time in the world that I needed to get a good clean shot. But that's not going to be the case whenever you get into a match. Whenever you get into a match, you're going to be shooting from uncomfortable positions, unorthodox positions. You're not going to have, you're not going to have a rear bag in a lot of stages. You're going to have to shoot off of rocks and stuff. Like it's going to be uncomfortable. And you need to practice shooting in those uncomfortable positions. The least stable position that you can shoot in is the standing unsupported. So I practiced shooting targets out to 400 or 500 yards on 66% IPSCs, standing unsupported, with guns like this.
Me too. And but for me, I'm a cheap ass, so I don't want to load more than I have to. I'll dry fire in a lot of those positions, and I could do that in the house, in the backyard. And if you're honest with yourself, you can see a lot in your dry firing. Stop reading comments.
So don't tell me what to do. Yeah, so what I do is I'll take the gun that I plan on doing like all the data gathering with, which is like last weekend it was this gun. So I did my, I confirmed 0. It was the first thing that we did whenever I got there. So that was, real good, comfortable off the bench kind of stuff. Then we confirmed, oh, now I can see all of you. Nice. Just turn that. Just turn. Anyway, so and then we were confirming my bullet drop out to distance, out to 560 yards. And then after we did that, I was like, all right, 6.5 Grendel's kind of expensive. I'm going to throw that in the truck. I'm going to grab my 5.56 and start shooting off of, shooting from weird positions and stuff. Downside to that is you don't get the same kind of recoil impulse shooting like a 5.56 versus a 6.5 Grendel, but there is still training value with it. So, and that's more what it's about for me is shooting in an uncomfortable position and get the training value out of it from the weird positions and uncomfortable positions, find out what works and what doesn't work. And then whenever I get into a match, then, I'll adjust fire towards the, weird recoil impulses and stuff that you get out of different guns.
Just one gun for me.
Just one gun. Just one. One and done. Man, nobody even runs bolt guns anymore. We don't have horse and buggy no more. We got cars, dog. Cars.
It works.
It what?
It works. I can't afford nothing now.
That's not true. You're a liar.
It is. You know my wife.
Yeah. So I keep saying, you take those bolt guns and throw them in the trash. We've moved on past the horse and buggy. I say stuff like that all the time. And then at the same time, I'm like, that being said, I actually have one. And I wanted to bust this one out. This is the one that I don't think anybody's seen it since I put the scope on it. This is the one that Aerodynamics built for me. I took an AD cert off of a prize table before I was sponsored by them. And this was what I had them build me. And it's a Remington 700 action. It's blueprinted by them. And then a MPA rat chassis with the folding stock because I wanted to be able to fit this thing into a backpack. I got the DMR2 scope. Got it for a hell of a deal from a friend of mine who's on this podcast. And it's got a 28-inch barrel, I believe. So it's got all the barrel in the world. And, of course, a Control Solutions muzzle brake. And this is chambered in 6mm comp match. 6 comp match is a 243 Winchester case with the shoulder blown out to a 31 degree, so you have to fire form it, 31 degree angle. And the reason that you do that is so that you can run a single base powder in it. That way you get more barrel life. A lot of the 6mm guns have atrocious barrel life. You fire 1,000 rounds through it, 1,500 rounds through it, and you start to notice that your shot groups are never coming back to that, that half MOA, quarter MOA stuff. Me personally, I don't need a gun that shoots quarter MOA because I've won precision rifle matches with 2 MOA guns. So don't need it. I just get lucky. That gun, though, it's I wanted the extended barrel life. I wanted to be able to shoot, 3,000, 4,000 rounds through it before I had to rebarrel it. But also, I can push a 108 ELD 243 caliber projectile 3,400 feet per second using reloader 26, I believe. And if I use like regular Rotumbo or H1000, I can get 3,200 or 3,150, whatever I need to be match legal, easy. So I can push that medium high BC projectile quickly, and that's the objective. I'm actually really impressed with what you did with your 260. I tell people all the time that a 260 Remington is a reloader's chambering over the 6.5 Creedmoor. I say like if you plan on buying all your ammo off a shelf or most of your ammo off a shelf, I say just get a 6.5 Creedmoor. But if you're going to hand load, get a 260 because you can do more with it. And with your 260, you're pushing 130 grain Burger VLD.
Yep, Target VLD.
Yeah, VLD. What 29 hundo?
3,020 now.
3,020. Well,
might not have told you that. I stepped it up a little bit, but that's because I got slack on my load development. I just poured some powder and went with it. After I just got it rebarreled, so loaded up 6 different loadings, and that was it. Picked one. They were all under 1/2 inch. Picked the one over 3,000 and went with it.
Okay, so what's our next talking point? Because we talked a little bit about, like training, and I said, get off your belly, shoot in uncomfortable positions, because that's the way you're going to have to shoot in a match and stuff like that.
Well, how about this? Speaking of me being a bolt gun guy, I seen you have a gas gun coming out that's got me wanting to change my mind after seeing the pictures.
Yes. So, I had this happen like all at one time. I had a couple of my sponsors. So I have some loud sponsors and some quiet sponsors, because I do goofy shit, and not everybody wants that associated with their company and stuff like that. Some people just appreciate my sense of humor, and they're like, "Hey, I want to do something for you. Here's what we're gonna do. You don't have to say our name or anything like that. We just appreciate you for being you. You go, you beautiful butterfly." And then there's other people who are like, "We love your personality. We love your sense of humor. We want to attach your name to something that's ours." And I'm like, I don't know who y'all think I am. I'm really not that special, but all right. So one of them was Palmetto State Armory. So Palmetto State Armory actually hit me up about a week and some change ago, and they were like, "Hey, we want you to come down here and build your ideal designated marksman rifle or whatever, because you're known as like the designated marksman guy, and we want to sell it as the Cameron Hayes rifle and stuff like that." And I was like, y'all don't know what's about to happen. And then right after that, everybody found out that the Cameron Hayes, or the Hayes, Haze, designated marksman rifle by Title II Manufacturing dropped. So like I had to keep my mouth shut a little bit on that. But yeah, that's so using promo code Hayes, you can get $500 off. It comes with a skinner. Like, the Title II Manufacturing knives are awesome. It comes with a knife. So it comes with, custom gun, custom knife. It's got a bunch of Geisley parts. You get to pick your trigger. It either comes with an 18-inch Grendel barrel or a 20-inch 223 Wild. So, yeah, and I'm going to be running it. I'm going to be running one in some matches. Some matches I'm going to be running the 6 comp match that I just showed you guys, the Remington 700. In some matches, I'm going to be running the Title II Manufacturing gas gun, and the Title II gun. It's just fucking sick. Like there's not really a whole ass another way for me to talk about it. It's so fucking cool that like it's got my name written on the side of it, and like the suppressor. It's got a it's got a dead air. Is it a Nomad or a Sandman? I think it's a Nomad. It's got a Nomad suppressor on it, I think.
On yours. That doesn't come with the one you can buy or anyone else can buy. But
correct. Mine's is gonna have a dead air suppressor on it, and it's gonna have like an LPVO on it probably. Because I think Kent had talked about some of the scopes that I'm gonna be evaluating and stuff like that. I've had multiple companies send me optics and say, "Hey, fuck my shit up, fam. Tell me what you think." And I'm like, I guess some of them see me doing a scope tracking test the proper way. A lot of people will just do a box test and then call it good. And that's not really how you test your scope. So I test scopes properly. And then after I test the scope, then I'll say, "Hey, this is good or this is bad." And I'm finding more and more common, a lot of these companies want your honesty. So many people are willing to say, "Hey, this is an awesome product. This is great. This is cool. This is, amazing. This is the best." Just because they want to keep something, a relationship with this company that's sending them stuff for free. And what kind of started my relationship with some of these companies is Not so positive reviews, like where I'd said, hey, this is garbage and y'all should fix it. And then they do, and they appreciate that. I told Shepherd Scopes that I was going to evaluate one of their scopes. I did. They liked the evaluation that I did. It had a 2% scope tracking error. They sent me, they were like, hey, we want to send you another scope to evaluate for us. And I said, okay, but disclaimer, I'm going to be honest in my review. Like, even though you're sending me the scope, it's going to be an honest review. And their response was, okay, then we'll send you two. So they sent me a 1-8 first focal plane that has a similar reticle to the one that's in this one. That this one's the second focal plane. And they sent me a 4-16 mil scope that I'll be evaluating also on my YouTube channel later. And then I've also got a couple other scopes. Y'all will just have to wait and see.
Yeah. I'm hoping to pick up one of his knives, one of Title II's knives at the end of Richard's series. I've seen yours, seen a couple he's put up. I'm digging them.
Yeah, I actually I just got another Title II manufacturing knife in the mail today, and I really wish right now so bad that I had it so I could just be like, this is it. So Chris specifically put a quote on there that said, when you're going through hell, keep going. And he had it engraved on the blade of my knife that he made for me. So, and it also had another quote that he put in the box with it and stuff like that. So he was being very thoughtful about stuff like that. So sweet. It's so sweet.
Read that comment from Green Mountain. I think he meant to say igloo. Big igloo rifle.
Ooh, big igloo rifle. It depends on what state I'm in. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's another thing too, because I'd said like things that are to come. So there's the Cameron Hayes designated marksman rifle that Title II manufacturing just dropped, and then also Title II manufacturing is flying me out to Florida in a couple of weeks to go check out some properties out there and stuff like that where I can teach classes. Also, you notice Green Mountain Defense is in our chat. And Green Mountain Defense has mentioned that I come up to PA or summers around there and possibly teach a designated marksman class in PA. So that might be a thing too. As of right now, it's looking like I will be teaching a class in Alabama. I'll be teaching one in Florida. I'll be teaching one in Colorado. And I'll be teaching one in Vermont. Those are the ones that we pretty much have, set. If the thing goes through with Green Mountain and they still want me or whatever, then I'll be doing one in PA or summers around there. Might do one in Tennessee, in TJ's neck of the woods if he wants me there. So it just depends. Just depends. Be teaching people how to gas gun more gooder. And I mean, like that, there's a distinction, I think, between the sniper matches and the gas gun matches. I'd mentioned it a little bit before, and the role that I think that the precision gas gun fills is so vast. It's like it's untapped by most. Like people think that they're little. Well, you've been to the range with me whenever I've taken my little 10.5-inch gun and shot targets 600 yards away with iron sights. And people would think that was, impossible with a 10.5-inch barrel gun. I mean, shit, me and you shoot, the 300-yard pistols all the time. So it's like, is it the most practical thing to do? No, hell no. But can it be done also? Hell no. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, it can be done. It can totally be done. There's just a lot more capability wrapped up in that, that AR-15 that somebody keeps, rattling around in their truck. Truck gun, 50 BMG and whatnot.
Yeah, with the right guy behind it. I've shot matches that said this is a bolt gun match. This is small targets, long ranges, and been smoked by a gas gun.
Yep. Yep. Actually, Richard's last match that we shot was the first match that I have ever shot a bolt gun in. And it was the most gas gun oriented match that I have ever shot at TRM. And I was like, oh. I hit a lot of targets.
The gas gun won that one then?
First place for that team match, the team went to Ashton Johnson. And
I wasn't asking who. I just want to know if it was bolt or gas.
Everybody knows you came in first place. We got it. You shot your bolt gun and came in first. You and your partner. Do I need a system? Okay. So anyway, yeah, what were we just talking about? I lost my train of thought. I've been drinking.
Yeah, I don't know. You could always go to your sponsor. That'll take up 10 minutes.
Ouch. First of all,
that was a compliment.
One of my sponsors would probably have something to say about that. Let me go on ahead and take a look real quick at a couple of my sponsors. All right, so obviously Aerodynamics, they're the ones who, you know, like I wear Aerodynamics t-shirts and stuff like that. They get slots in matches. I fill those slots and, you know, shoot for them, hopefully shoot well, hopefully represent them well. Also promote for them because, you know, they make dope-ass rifles like that one right there. The third, fourth, and fifth shot out of that gun were the first group that I shot out of that gun, and it was like quarter MOA, something like that, ridiculous. Title II Manufacturing, they make, you know, dope-ass guns. They're located out of Florida, also make dope-ass knives, but they're not exclusive to knives. You know, everybody wants to, you know, they want to pigeonhole them as, you know, as knife people. They're gun people. Promise. That's why they made the Cameron Hayes Designated Marksman Rifle. They are gun people. And actually, my first two sponsors here, you know, Title II Manufacturing and Aerodynamics, I'm about to bring them together so that they can make, you know, one gun that's going to be a collaboration thing. So basically, it's going to be Aerodynamics is going to be taking my rifle cartridge that I designed, you know, while I was overseas a couple years ago and stuff like that. Aerodynamics is going to be making the barrels and stuff for my rifle cartridge, and we're going to be putting those barrels in a Title II Manufacturing gun, and, you know, I'm going to be running that in a couple of matches and stuff like that. Anyway, Bullet Consulting Group, they make, you know, they do like, you know, they do. Ooh, I don't want to say Cerakote because that's not what they do. They do like gun coat and stuff like that. They do some other kind of coating. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah. They like coat guns. They do gun work, you know, stuff like that. Cool dudes. Control Solutions muzzle brakes, like that right there. Todd Resource Management. I'm actually wearing a TRM shirt right now. They're the ones who are hosting the Shaytac series and stuff like that. Also, they give me a place to do my YouTube videos, like to go like evaluate products and stuff like that. Like that's an agreement that I have with Richard Todd, the owner of the range, is that, you know, I get to go out there and, you know, evaluate products and stuff like that, and I promote for TRM. 903 Tactical. George, he is currently at a school, and he, you know, also does gun work, and he's out of Texas. Resurgence PPG, I haven't mentioned those dudes in a long time because I think they've moved on past me. But that's one of the charities that I used to donate to a lot, and I actually donated a gun to them and stuff like that for a raffle and stuff. And it's for veterans that are disabled, and they get to go like paraglide and stuff like that. It's pretty cool stuff. Jordan Spradley, he's actually on my sponsor list because he gave me the Sprad bag. Fortitude Consulting, you know, Gilly Willie. Gil Narvez has Fortitude Consulting, and I've taken a few classes from them, and I've also assistant instructed some of those classes, mostly talking about like terminal performance and stuff like that, like what your projectile does whenever it reaches its resting point, or the body, the tearing and crushing injuries that happen to the body whenever someone gets shot and stuff like that. Aim at Guns, Phoenix Strategies, Canebrake Consulting, and Palmetto State Armory. Those are the big ones that I could think of right off. I'm probably forgetting a bunch of them, and I'm a piece of shit for that. What about you, Ash? Go ahead and start talking about your sponsors.
Oh, no, I don't have any. I'm like Ricky Bobby over here shooting for me. Just racing from me. I mean, if someone wants to hit me up,
It's okay. You're about to get picked up. It's fine.
Well, yeah.
No one knows yet, but he's about to get picked up by me. I'm about to sponsor you.
Yeah.
Yes. You get to wear a T-shirt with me on the back of it like this. It's just like, I'm sponsored by Cameron Hayes.
I'm cheap. Bring some beef jerky. I'm game.
Yeah, you're like, and my sponsor. There he is. Next talking point.
Let's see here.
Stephen Tilley. I wish he was still in the Army. God, he used to listen so well.
Green Mountain wants to know how far they could stretch out a 16-inch with a 1-6 on it.
What chambering?
Imagine a 223.
Yeah, probably.
All the way.
Yeah, all of the ways. This is the way. That's, like, you can push your bullet way further than, it's how effective is it. If your objective is to hit steel or to punch a hole in a piece of paper or something like that, I mean, you can reach out past a mile with your 16-inch gun.
Yeah, they asked about a mile. Yes, eventually you could hit a mile with that.
Yeah, for sure.
No. I've shot a mile with my 18-inch AR back in the day, but it wasn't first round hits, and it was hand loads, and it was at least back then I think I was 18 power.
You're still in? Hey, Steve, I didn't know you were still in. I've switched units since then, so I had no idea he was still in. He was like one of the really, really good soldiers in a unit that I came from, and I thought he got out for some reason. Oh well, I'm a piece of shit. Anyway, what were we talking about?
5.56 out to a mile.
Oh yeah, I've shot 5.56 out to a mile, but I did it with my 20-inch gun. I shot my 10.5-inch gun out to 1,000. So, but not with iron sights. I had a 4-14 on it when I did that.
I've got one opportunity that I've shot out past a mile, down there in Georgia, when they had one of the ELR days, and we tagged in and started shooting at targets, and I was Google Earthing them and mapping them out, and thought I found one at 1,900 yards. Couldn't see trace, couldn't figure out where we were missing, and a guy came over and helped us with a spotting scope that cost more than all of our rifles together. He said, that's the target you're shooting at. That's okay. Go ahead. That's 2,300 yards. I said, oh, damn, we didn't even get that right. Point me over to a mile. We ended up getting hits at 19 something on one of the larger targets. But
nice. What's the farthest you've ever shot?
It was like 1,900 and something.
I should say, what's the farthest you've ever hit?
Yeah, 19 something.
Okay.
Furthest I ever shot was a good bit more than that, shooting at the wrong target.
Yeah, you're not wrong. What? And that was with a 5.56?
No, that was with the 260.
Oh, okay.
That was after that was one of the workup days for the Bushnell match when it was down there at the arena.
Okay. We were shooting targets that were just past 2,200. Back whenever I used to have, so like y'all saw the picture of if you follow me on Facebook or Instagrams and all that stuff, one of the dudes from work had a Barrett Model 99, and I actually used to have a Barrett Model 99 in 50 BMG, and the farthest I ever stretched that out was just past 2,200. I'm not going to say it was 2,400 because I'm not sure. It might have been like 2,350 or something like that, but far. And then I got that rebarreled in 4.16 Barrett, and couldn't afford to shoot it anymore, and I sold it. So I had a Barrett Model 99 that I got rebarreled into 4.16 Barrett, and then I ended up selling it. I shot it a couple times in 4.16, and then after that, like ELR is cool and all, but like it's not my thing. It's really not. I don't enjoy ELR the same way that I enjoy like shooting targets that are 1,000 yards away. That's cool. Like I enjoy doing that 1,000 yards and in. Whenever it's past 1,000, I can hit it. Usually first round impact, but like out to a mile. But
yeah,
it's just not. It's not as much fun to me anymore. Like to me, 1,000 yards and in and getting like quick hits from like an unstable position. That's more fun to me than laying down and taking all day and making sure that you get all your environmentals right and then sending a shot and then missing by 1/10 of a fucking mil and then being like, oh. Yeah, that doesn't do it for me anymore.
It was interesting to watch. They had some interesting rigs and barrels, and the way they have the cooled barrels. But yeah, it wasn't for me. We're shooting off props beside them out to 1,000. They were looking at us like we were crazy. Yeah, so Tom Byram has a good question that I think we could talk about because I do this a lot different than you as well, but it's bolt versus gas. So he's saying from your YouTube videos, it looks like you use a lot more finger on the trigger, so you wrap than most. Can you?
Is he talking about me or is he talking about you?
He's talking about you because I don't. I use just inside the tip of the finger on the pad and
just the tip.
Little. Yep,
is that what you were trying to say?
Little as possible.
You can just say just the tip, Ashton.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Just right in.
Yeah, just the tip. That's just the tip.
But I'm at 8 ounces. You're at a little more.
That's what I was about to say. Is I'm usually running heavier triggers. So I'm running a gas gun, so that means that I have semi-automatic capabilities. So whenever I'm trying to just be super light on my regular gas precision rifle, my 5.56 that I normally shoot in competition, it has a 1.5 pound trigger. That's light for a gas gun. That's stupid light for a gas gun. So if I'm trying to just like roll the trigger back and not really like wrap my hand around the gun or wrap more finger around the trigger or anything like that, it has a tendency to double fire or triple fire, and that's not good in a match. So what I'll do is I wrap up the gun and I'll fire it fast. I'll pull the trigger fast because it's a really light trigger and it's a comfortable movement for me because I shot so much pistol. Yeah, and also where the strength is, like whenever I'm shooting like heavier triggers, like this one right here has like a 4.5 pound, 5 pound trigger, 2-stage. So it's like the first stage is like 2.5 pounds, and then the second stage is 2 pounds or something like that. And whenever I'm shooting this gun or whatever, it's a heavier trigger, and the way that the muscles in your trigger finger work, like if all I needed was the tip of this finger because I had a 6-ounce jewel trigger like Ashton, then you could sneeze and make that gun fire. You could just think about it going off and it'll go off. With a gun with a 5 pound trigger or something like that, I don't want to just barely have my trigger finger on the gun and then pull my shot off because I'm straining to try to pull the trigger. So I'll use more trigger finger for something like that, and it's a training thing. It's a purpose thing. And it's a what did you just do? And it's a did you just
No, something came up on my phone.
Sure it did.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing that I do sometimes for things. I hope that answered your question, Tom Byram, whoever that is. I've never partnered with that guy in a precision rifle match and done really well. More rounds, more accuracy. I believe in that, Mike Hines.
Yeah. He was talking about you letting off, 2 or 3 rounds by doing a light trigger pull.
Hey, at the Bushnell, I would get about where I thought my rounds were going to impact it. If I got a good lays on a target or something like that, and it was 300 or so or 350, and it was a big enough target, I'd be like, meh, and I'd just fire 3 really fast and hit it with all 3, and that would just be hit, 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 and that saved me a lot of time. So I'm fast on that gas gun. So that's why I get decent scores sometimes, is because of how fast I am with my gas gun.
True story.
Facts, big facts. Okay, what's our next talking point?
Jordan's asking, what about a 5 pound single stage trigger? Is that a good idea? Not for me personally at all.
It's a 0.5, so that's a half pound.
Yeah, I'm below that. It's what you learn, what you train with. I started at 16 ounces with that jewel trigger and kept working down and dry firing, and I
Isn't 16 ounces a pound?
14. I started at 14. I was trying to do math in my head of where I was for a half pound.
You're so bad.
Yeah, it was around 13 or 14 ounces, and just started dry firing and shooting matches at that and slowly creeping it down. So now when I shoot it, I can touch the trigger on on target without it going off. But training up, I would just have finger outside the trigger guard until I was on target. And
so he's asking about an 8-ounce trigger, which is basically what you have.
Below that. Yeah.
You have a 6-ounce now, right?
Yeah. Well,
all right. So what was your question?
Didn't measure it well, but it was light.
So are you asking if that's a good idea in a gas gun or a bolt gun? Because in a gas gun, I'm gonna go ahead and say no. That's gonna be a no, dog, especially in a single stage, unless you want to go full auto. He trying to bump fire his gat. Yeah, in a bolt gun, I say send it. I'm all about it. Like I can go sub 1 on a bolt gun. I'm super okay with that. Actually, that gun right there has a 1.5 pound in it. My bolt gun.
Like I said, I would just work up to a half pound. Don't start at that if you have.
You mean work down?
Before. Yeah. Yes.
I knew what you meant. Represent.
Yep. When resetting, when shooting pistol, do you reset the trigger on recoil?
We're not talking about pistols here, Terry Williams. No, I'm just kidding. No, I get it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Calm down. We've been drinking, Terry. When you shoot pistol, you reset. I don't know. I really don't know what I do whenever I'm shooting a pistol. Because, like, you've seen how – well, you haven't seen, but back whenever I used to shoot a lot of, like, IDPA and USPSA, I used to be really fast with my pistol. So I couldn't tell you. I just did whatever felt natural.
I know what I do, and it depends on the target and the stage, what we're shooting. If it's something close and big, resetting in the recoil and pulling another shot. If it's some of the 100-yard targets that Richard does, keeping it pegged through the recoil and coming back down and trying to breathe and resetting.
Firing off the reset.
Yeah.
Next talking point.
They might have ran out.
I was asking you what the next talking point was.
That was pretty much all we had jotted down, which we went.
Okay. We didn't talk about the Kestrel. We didn't talk. What? Really?
You hit on it a little bit.
Has this been an hour?
Started at 8:30. Yeah, it's getting close.
Oh, wow. It has been an hour. I definitely said that I wanted this to be 30 minutes, and I definitely fucked that up.
All right. I've been keeping time. Yeah, so you had a Facebook post up about Kestrel and overanalyzing shots and dope in matches or just shooting in general. I thought we had talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll post stuff not because I have so many trolls or anything like that, because I do, but just because like I want people to think, and like, part of my sense of humor is like I have that, like I do the cocky thing. I'm really not a cocky person. I doubt myself all the time. Trust me. But like whenever it comes to like precision rifle stuff or whatever, I think it's funny whenever somebody goes into something like extremely confident and then falls on their face. And, one of my forms of therapy, we were talking about, I was having a hard time whenever I first got home from overseas, is I love to make people laugh. Like that is my jam sandwich. And I mean, I could have way, way worse habits. I could be snorting blow off of hookers' asses or some shit like that. But instead I want to make people laugh and smile. So, is that really that bad? Well, I mean, it's Thursday. So anyway, so I made a post earlier this week. I've made a couple of posts that have gotten people super ass hurt. And it's That's not my intention. My intention is to make people think. And one of the things that I'd said was, some of you guys are plugging in, data into your Kestrel to make a 300-yard shot on a full size IPSC. And what I was talking about is I see people a lot of times just overanalyzing the shit out of something. Like if you have a target that's 300 yards away and it's the size of a dude, give it a mill, hold it center, and send it. That's it. That's it. Just do that. And you're probably going to hit it unless you're shooting in hurricane winds. And but I see people all the time. They'll bust out their Kestrel, they'll start punching in numbers, and they're just like, "Oh, I have to be super precise on this shot." No, you don't. It's a competition. Your objective is to hit steel and move on to the next target. And I might be a little bit too lax on some targets, but I've also, what I had talked about in that post was one of the stages at the Bushnell. The closest target that I saw that was mine was 615 yards, and it was a 12-inch diamond. And we had like ridiculous wind. It was like 27, 25 mile an hour winds, full value. And I'm shooting a 5.56. So, that's going to push your bullet a few mils off target. But not only that, it's a 12-inch target. That's one of those ones that I'm like, okay, yeah, you might have wanted to plug in some numbers. But I've been doing this so long, and I'm so comfortable with that chambering and like what the capabilities of that round are and stuff, that I was like, I'm just going to swag this and see what happens. And I got a first, second, and third round impact on that target. And then I was like, there's another 12-inch diamond right behind it. Don't really know how far it is, but I assume it's about 650. I'm just going to send it. First, second, and third round impact. And, so like sometimes people just overthink. I underthought that one and just got lucky. But sometimes people just, like they'll plug in stuff that they don't really need to. If you've got a bullet that has a BC in the sixes and your target is less than 500 yards away and you're not shooting in hurricane winds, don't worry about the wind. It's really not that important. At best, hold edge of target shooting into the wind, because that'll blow your bullet into the target. It's easy.
Continuing on that point, Terry's asking about what do you think about the shooting app Straylock? I know I use Shooter. That's the first one I downloaded way back when and continued using it. But talk about putting good info in, getting good info out.
Yes, I'm actually a big fan of Straylock. I have the regular Straylock and I have Straylock Pro. I have both of those in my phone because I have like a lot of different guns, a lot of different data. I plug in other people's data to try to give them, good drop charts and stuff like that. Like I like to help people. So whenever somebody has a question or something like that, they'll say, "Hey man, this is the bullet I'm shooting, and like what do I do? What do I need to get?" and stuff like that. And I actually had this situation last night where somebody had said, "Hey, these are my numbers. Do these look right to you?" And I was like, "Nah, those don't look right to me." But some of the numbers that I just spit like off the top of my head, like about spin drift, were dead on, because he was telling me he had a 1-in-8 twist barrel and he was pushing a 264 caliber projectile, 2550 and stuff like that. And he was giving me all this info, and I was trying to do the math in my head, and I was like, okay, that means that at 1,000 yards, just because of spin drift, you're probably going to have about 10 inches of horizontal, where it's going to drift to the right, because he had a right hand twist barrel. And he plugged those numbers in, and it was like a 9.93. So I was a 0.07 off, just doing the math in my head. And, it's just stuff like that, like that's one of those, like, you can overthink it kind of stuff. But Straylock is so simple that I love it. I love how simple it is. I can plug in some good information and get good information out. That's what I was using this past weekend, where I was only 1/10 of a mil off. And whenever I was a 1/10 of a mil off, I made that 1/10 of a mil adjustment on my scope, and I was fine all the way out to 560. So I like Strelok. I use Strelok and Strelok Pro, like I'd said. Some people like the Hornady app because it's got the 4 degrees of freedom and stuff like that. And again, I think you can overcomplicate things. One of the numbers I see people forget to plug in, and it's really important, is your height over bore. Some people don't put height over bore, or they put the wrong barometric pressure in their app, and I'll like read their numbers, and I'm like, oh, this is why. So, like yesterday, somebody had sent me some numbers, and I was like, those numbers aren't right. What's your height over bore? And I helped him figure out the proper height over bore, and then his numbers were close, but still not quite right, especially at distance. And I was like, why is your barometric pressure 15? And then we figured out that was the problem. It should have been like a 29.3, 29.35, something like that. Because whenever you're at sea level, that's about your barometric pressure. And your density altitude is important whenever you're shooting, because like the higher altitude you're shooting, the farther you can shoot because your density altitude before your bullet slows down. The end.
Yeah.
End of
does Strelok have the truing capabilities as well, to where you can go out and test at different ranges and true your data up to say the app told you 6 mils at this, but it actually took you 5.7 or whatever. I know Shooter does that. I've messed with it a little bit, but like you said, if you get your data right to start with and accurate, and I mean, I mic my scope height over bore with calipers. I don't want to round to the 10th or the 1/4 inch. It's down to the 100th, 1,000.
Well, something that I found with the height over bore, like height over bore is important, but the further your 0 is away, the less important your height over bore is. So for you, you're zeroing a, your height over bore is probably like a 2, something like that.
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, so like right around 2, and your gun is zeroed at 200 yards.
Yep.
So you could literally be a 1/4 of an inch off at that distance, and at 1,000 yards, you wouldn't notice a full inch of dispersion because you were a 1/4 inch off.
Yeah.
Just because it is another angular unit of measure. For the Army, it's drastically important because we zero at 25 meters. So because we're zeroing our guns at 25 meters, if you don't get a really, really, really good, solid, precise 0 at 25 meters, it's going to fuck you up whenever you're trying to shoot those 3 hundos. Yeah. Yep. So, but yes, you can true Strelok Pro.
And where do you zero yours at?
For what?
What range? Your ARs or?
Oh, I zero just about everything at 100. The only thing I didn't really zero at 100 was my Barrett. Whenever I shot 50 BMG, I was using the 750 grain AMAXs, and with that projectile BC, which is a 1.05, which is a insane high BC, and the velocity I was pushing out of that barrel and everything, my bullet drop at 600 was only 3 mils. So my 0 was 600, but I also did a 0 offset. So I would zero that gun at 100, 3 mils high.
Yeah.
And then
I had found for my caliber for the 260 with my setup, my 200 yard 0, I'm also zeroed at 50 yards. So I've went out to the range where I don't have 200 yards and I can zero at 50, and it matches up. And a lot of these matches like to sneak targets in, below 75 yards, and you'll have a few between that and 250, and I'm not changing any I'm not dialing or holding anything for those targets. They're almost all the time large enough to where I can just run the first couple targets and start worrying about holdovers at 350.
Yeah, Cam Zero's at a hundo. And the reason that Cam Zero's at a hundo is because I like to work with easy numbers. You know, most military dudes will go with meters. Like, we like meters, military folk, because we travel. I like yards because that's the way I think. I think in yards, but it also makes for easy numbers for me for a lot of the guns that I run. If you're running a 20-inch gas gun, 5.56, and you're getting like 2,700 feet per second with a bullet that has a ballistic coefficient just shy of 4 on the G1, at 300, your bullet drop's going to be 1.1. I know 1.1, but I say 1 because a tenth of a mil at that distance isn't important. It's really not. It's like an inch. So anyway, and then at 400, it's 2 mils. At 500, it's 3 mils. At 600, it might be 4.5 mils, or it might be like 4.2. But either way, you're within like 2/10. So you're still going to impact your target and shit. So I zeroed 100 just for easy numbers. It's just like I can do it in my head a lot easier. And that works for 6.5 Creedmoor. It works for 6.5 6.5 Creedmoor. It works for 5.56. It works for 308. It works for a lot of stuff. It does not work for Grendel. I recently found out. That was one of those things for me that was kind of a learning curve with Grendel. Is it's such a slow bullet, but the BC matches the 175 grain Sierra Match King out of the 308. So if Grendel was cheaper than 308 to shoot, I would say that it would be a good training aid, but it's not cheaper to shoot than 308. So, all right, what are we talking about here?
Keystone was saying his AI was 2.875. I've got the AI chassis, the AIAX, so
yeah,
I've managed to get mine a little lower. I got it behind me. I can bring it up, but I'm at 2.307.
Okay.
And then
do you put 29 rounds in a 30 round mag? Jesus Christ. I put 28.
Yeah, I can fit 11 in mine. So
yeah, just like keep
gun.
on. Somebody's I have a bolt gun with a not I just run that drum mag. I run the D60. You know what? That's not a bad idea. That mag's not huge. I could totally run a D60 in a precision rifle match. There was a positional stage at Bushnell, and that was the only stage that I rocked a 30 round mag on because I always shoot 20 rounders out of my gas gun. And I decided to run a 30 rounder on one stage because you had to shoot prone unsupported. And I was like, if the Army taught me anything about shooting, it's that I'm a fin to use the shit out my magazine right now. And I did. In a 30 round mag. Just send it. Yep. Maybe a stupid question, but what type of prepping do you do before a match, eating wise, exercising? Yeah, Ashton, do you exercise? You work out?
No, not really. Not for I did for the Bushnell match for a couple months and drop some weight for a rucking type match. A lot of the matches we shoot, you're driving your truck stage to stage, and it's 2 minutes worth of stress, and then you're done. So usually the night before a match, I'm going through my bag, organizing, counting rounds, cleaning mags or whatever, but I'm not exercising. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that is for damn sure.
And eating wise, I mean, hell, if Cameron comes down, it's Taco Bell or something.
Yeah. Normally before a match, because me and Ash take it so seriously, we get shithouse drunk and eat Taco Bell the night before a match, usually. And then we wake
Somebody
up.
does.
we wake up about 45 minutes later than we plan on waking up. And then we kind of throw our bags in the truck, and then we get to a match. And then actually, we usually stop at a gas station and get coffee because we're inevitably hungover. And then we go shoot the match. Yep, coffee and Red Bull. And then we shoot the match with the shakes. So, good times. And then we still win.
Sometimes.
We just don't overthink it. That's what. Like, yeah, just don't overthink it. Maybe think a little bit harder than we do, but okay. I'm zeroed at 200 as well because I like 1 at 350, 1.5 at 4, 2 at 450, etc. 100 yards, 0 is 0.3 off, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but you did something really impressive, Tom. Whenever you were telling me the numbers that you were getting using the 147 grain ELDs, just so you guys know, the 147 grain ELD has a ballistic coefficient on the G1 scale of almost 0.7, which is fucking ridiculous. That is a crazy high BC. And he's pushing that pill like 29 hundo, if I'm not mistaken, out of your AI. Yeah, he's pushing that like stupid high BC bullet like 2,900 feet per second, 2,900 feet per second out of his GAT, if I'm not mistaken. I might be mistaken. And whenever he had told me his numbers, I was just like, there's no way. Because I've got a shitload of 147s. Actually, they're right next to me right now. I've got a shitload of 147s. And I've never been able to push them faster than like 2750 out of my 22-inch gun. Maybe he'll chime in here in a minute. It'll take him 15 seconds to hear what I say because there's a lag and whatnot.
Gotcha.
Remember that time I said that this podcast was going to be 30 minutes?
Oh, yeah. I remembered it.
I remember that. Remember that time I said that.
47 minutes. Remembered it a bunch.
Yeah. So, Ashton, I don't know if you guys know this or not, or if you guys are tuned in. No. It's fine. I'll go over it again. It's fine. I'll go over it again. Ashton's actually really shy. He's kind of shy.
Shyness. I don't know what to call it.
Okay, good. You started talking, and then you were like, "I hope the sentence comes to me as I speak." All right. Well, he's not chiming in. If you guys have anything else that you want to ask, this is your like 3-minute window right here to ask whatever questions.
Jordan said this is a Joe Rogan podcast link. This is a little longer.
Yeah, there was I think it was a primary secondary podcast popped up on my feed or on my subscriptions, like whenever I go through my like YouTube stuff or whatever. And it was like 5 hours or like 5.5 hours or something like that. And I was like, that is a 2830 feet per second out of a 28-inch barrel. Damn.
Which that's a lot of barrel.
A 28-inch barrel is a long barrel. You are correct. But 2830, and that bullet almost has a 0.7 ballistic coefficient. So that bullet's BC is stupid high, and he's pushing it faster than I'm pushing my 5.56 load. So ballistically superior by a lot. Yeah. So like, what's your drop at $1,000 with that? Anyway, okay, let's see what's being said here. Oh no, I clicked off of something. Here we go. Okay. No. We're good. We're back. Ortiz is in here. So no. Ortiz is he is one of these Snipers Unknown guys. And he's also a Phoenix strategy guy. And he was also an Army sniper. And he's also a sergeant first class. And he's trying to move to South Carolina to come live closer to me and you because he wants to be our best friends. Okay. 42.2 grains of H, 4350.
That's getting hard to find.
Yeah, H4350.
Yes.
Yeah. I went looking for all my stuff. I couldn't find anything. They didn't have AR Comp. They didn't have Rotumbo. They didn't have H1000. They had 8208 XBR. I was surprised about that they had 8208 XBR. Of course, they didn't have Varget because everybody wants to shoot their 6mm BR and shit like that. So I said they had 3 minutes to ask questions, right? New data 2.75. Okay, I'm looking to make sure that nobody tried to ask questions on any other form of social media. Know what? If they ain't watching this fucking podcast live right now, I ain't answering that question. I ain't never narked on nobody. Just so y'all know, me and Ashton talk to each other on the phone like single day, like on my way home from work because he's, my best friend and shit. He actually gets a little peanut butter and jealous if I don't call him. Like he'll call me at like 4:30 and be like, "So you didn't want to call me today on your way home?" And I'm like, "I had to talk to somebody else." And he'd be like, "Who's this other bitch?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry. I'm not cheating on you, Ash. I promise."
Lies.
Yes, H4350 is gold. 7 mils at a mile. Yeah, that's awesome.
At 1,000.
Oh, at a K. A kilometer.
No. I don't think that's what you meant.
It might have been. I don't know. Yeah, at 1,000. Okay, so seven mils at 1,000. I think my bullet drop at 1,000 is 11.1 in my Grendel. Hell yeah, he's still going fast too. 1,675 feet per second. So the reason that number is important is because whenever your bullet reaches the transonic zone, or 1,350 feet per second at sea level, Mach 1.2, your bullet starts to destabilize in flight. All right, that's we're gonna go on ahead and we're gonna end this right here. We appreciate you guys watching. It took a little longer than we anticipated because that's kind of what we do. Next week we should have Chris Roberts on here, and hopefully we'll put a 1 hour cap on it or something like that and just see what happens. Today's episode was supposed to be 30 minutes, ended up being 2 hours, so an hour and a half. Yeah, an hour and a half. Oh, I can't wait for a Grendel. Yes. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. I'm going to end this stream.